All right, our very first speaker is April Contreras. April, come on up. April is a Ph.D. student in the Interdisciplinary Neuroscience program. She's a coordinator of the Hines Group STEM Outreach Program, has served as an OUMP mentor, and founded the UNLV Mountain Club. April's presentation is titled Stopping the Wildfire, a Novel Therapy for Developmental Epilepsy.
All right. Hello. It's July 2023, and the York wildfire is raging through the Mojave National Preserve. And we might not know how it started, but once it sparked, it was uncontrollable, and it wreaked havoc on a delicate ecosystem of Joshua trees and yucca plants that the preserve aims to protect. And when a wildfire starts, a specialized team of firefighters called a hotshot crew is deployed, and their primary mission is to make sure that wildfires are put out as efficiently and safely as possible. And I don't study wildfires in the desert, but I study wildfires in a very different type of landscape. The brain. And the brain actually communicates by a delicate balance of excitatory and inhibitory signaling. And when this balance is disrupted, it can lead to a spark, a wildfire called a seizure. And when these seizures are persistent and recurrent, it can lead to a disorder called epilepsy. And I study epilepsies in infants and children. And neurodevelopmental epilepsy syndromes are actually difficult to treat because the compounds that we use to treat them, benzodiazepines, are harmful to the developing brain. And they can actually alter the way that genes and proteins are activated, which tell neurons, the brain cells, how to communicate and where to go. And this can have long-term consequences on how children learn, how they retain information, and their higher order cognition. A potential solution to this problem is an alternative therapy called cannabidiol, or CBD. And CBD is one of the many molecules in the cannabis plant. And you've probably heard of the THC, the psychoactive molecule in the brain which produces a high. But CBD is one of those molecules which is non-psychoactive, so there is no high. But unfortunately, CBD carries a lot of the stigma that the cannabis plant does in general, which has inspired scientists to look to novel therapies, including non-cannabis derived molecules. So what we did is we didn't even take a look at the cannabis plant. We looked at another plant called the caraway or fennel plant. And so we took seeds, extracted molecules, and made them look a lot like CBD, and maybe made some tweaks that made them a little bit better so that they could bind to different receptors in the brain. And this is as the added benefit of reducing stigma because it's not associated with the cannabis plant. And so while that's all fine and dandy, we wanted to know, could this compound be our hotshot crew? Can it change the wildfires, those seizures in the brain? And to do this, we read some brain waves. So we use a technique called electroencephalography, or EEG. And it's a really powerful tool that allows us to look at how those electrical signals in the brain communicate in real time. And we look at these signals in rodents. Mouse models are a powerful preclinical tool because they have a very genetic blueprint that's similar to ours, and we can design preclinical mouse models that replicate the symptoms of epilepsy so that we can test novel compounds to help save our children. And so the experiments that we ran included two groups. First, we separated a group of animals that were treated with water, and then a second group that was treated with our novel non-cannabis molecule. And then we sparked a seizure using a chemical called canic acid, and then we waited to see if the wildfires would start. And to our surprise, we found that compared to the water-treated group, animals that were pre-treated with this molecule had a delay in their onset of this wildfire, these seizures. And these seizures are actually very severe in neurodevelopmental epilepsy syndromes in children and are correlated with high mortality. So we wanted to know, could this new compound stop that wildfire before it wreaked havoc on the delicate ecosystem of the brain? And to our surprise, it did. So compared to the vehicle-treated animals in gray, the mortality of our pre-treated animals with our cannabidiol congener showed that seizure mortality was massively reduced, stopping that wildfire before it could wreak true havoc. And so in summary, these non-cannabis-derived cannabidiol congeners are going to be laying the foundation for the development of novel therapies that can help attenuate and treat neurodevelopmental epilepsy syndromes, providing hope for a recovering landscape. And with that, I'd like to thank the Hines Group Labs, in particular, Drs. Rochelle and Dustin Hines, Adriana Carrillo, who's an awesome undergraduate who has helped a lot with this project, and our collaborators and funding. Thank you.